The thoughts, views, and opinions of In the Red podcast and its host and our guest is strictly for entertainment purposes only.
Yep. We in here. I'm feeling some kind of way today, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm feeling some kind of way to it today, man. It's been sitting with me actually for like a couple of weeks now, but today I feel like, all right, today's the day to get off my chest. You dig? So we're gonna get right to it, man. Let's start it up. You heard? All right. So let me start off by saying, easy light work. I am not the most religious person in the world. That's a fact. All right. Not really that religious and thing, but I do believe in something bigger than me, up above. I do believe in God, right? I just don't conform to everything Bible and religion. That's a whole nother thing, and that's a whole nother story. But I would say this. Two things that has always worked for me. My trust in God, that's one, and my gut. And I think they coincide, they work hand in hand. Sometimes I feel like God lives in my gut, right? I think it's some way intertwined or some way, like, the intuition that we have, it comes from him himself, right? Or her, who knows? But all I'm saying is it's locked in. You might have heard me talk about it in the past and other pod or whatever, and you'll hear me say, I think it was the last one we spoke on, or the last one I talked about, when I was like, once you're in a forward motion, people, the negative things and people get out your way. Once you're in a forward positive motion, negativity will get out your way. Gotta find a way to not even find a way, but gotta get them out your way. Whether it's people, they'll fall by the wayside, whether it's negative energy, that'll split, it'll be diminished, what have you, but it'll get out your way. Especially when it comes to people, Now, I pride myself on being a really good judge of humans and people, right? I survived a long time because of that. But every once in a while, there's one that slips through the cracks and it catches me so off guard. This one really got me. I had an experience not too long ago. And to be honest, I don't know. I don't know. But, it took me a while to understand what I was feeling, what I was going through, and to be able to compile it into words. And in its simplest form, I was hurt. There's some things in people, like, all right, you'll have people around you that other people may question why you have these people around you. And, you have your own reason. Let me just stay on me, right? So sometimes there's people around me, and other people that's around me would look at these other people and be like, yo, I don't understand why you're around this person or even allowing this person to be around you. I don't get it. It don't coincide. It don't mesh with your personality or who you are, what you stand for. So it's kind of hard to get. And I'd be like, I get it. But lot of the times what the people are seeing, I see something different. And it's not really that I see something different. It's a lot of the times, let's just say, they say, oh man, this dude is, something was to happen on the street. Man, you can't call this cat. But really and truly, I know that. And that is not the person I call. That's not why I have him around me. I have him around me for a whole completely different reason. And I'm not even I'm not even in the street anymore. So none of that street shit really concerns me. And on top of that, I've said it before on pods before. People who know me can verify. I've never called anybody for a problem. I know it be sounding cocky when I say that, but I gave the whole reasoning behind pods before, so go listen back to those if you need to understand what I'm talking about. But what I will say is, man, I keep certain people around me for certain reasons other than what other people think, right? But when you have somebody around you and there's certain certain things you expect from a person, right? And then they take it to another level and you're like, you got to question where it's coming from, right? And you know what? I don't know if I was crossed, right? Because I got to make sure. I don't know if I was crossed or going off of the person word. I was just being tested, that kind of way. Like, there's so many different, but regardless of the fact, it's like, this one really, this shocked me. And I don't want to get into specifics because then it's going to turn into a petty game. And that's not what this conversation is about. Because I can go and then I'll call their name and then, later on, they'll call back a name and then it'd be some other shit. But, long story short, it could have turned into some like real street shit. And then, I felt myself in a place that I haven't been in a long time. I removed myself from that kind of energy on purpose. And it felt like I was just trying to get pulled back in. But, greater minds prevail. The stars aligned. And, everybody ended up going home, getting home safely. And it is what it is after that, right? But what I want to say is, man, stay fast to your steadfast to your purpose, man. Right? And even if you don't completely have your purpose figured out, let's just say, all right, you're in limbo or you're in a place where you're not really sure, okay, is this the road you should be on or not? I mean, once it's positive, nobody's getting hurt, you're being progressive, positive, your purpose will find you, right? Regardless of the fact, no, your purpose will find you. You have not figured it out all the way, but your purpose will find you while you're on that path. It'll search for you. It'll find you. The minute you stray, that's the end of that. It's either one thing, you're gonna lose it, or you're gonna prolong it. Right? It's one or two things. Hopefully you just prolong it and you can find it back. But some people just go down the wrong road and they just keep going and the purpose keeps trying to find them and catch up to them and it's gone. You're too far down the road for it to even catch up to you. But when you do decide and you just say, you know what, this is my purpose or this is my mission and I'm sticking to it, I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest things ever, right? Because all the negative shit, what ends up happening, all the negative things around you will show itself. You just gotta stay fast to your purpose, because they're gonna pop up. It's like, you know what it's like, man. And it's just think of a scenario where it's Halloween, and you go to one of those horror houses or whatever you call them, them scare houses, and you're walking through and you got all the crazy looking, bloody clowns. They're jumping out at you, and people with fake saws, they're jumping out at you. But really and truly, your purpose is just to get in the beginning and out the other end, right? But the horror house is to try and scare you, and you get trapped. And then you ever go through one of those? And this is for the people that's gone through. You ever go through one, and then like the people in front of you are all acting up and getting scared, and now they're stopping you from getting out because they're blocking your path. Same thing, but yet you find a way to get around them, and you're like, oh, I'm scared or whatever, but you keep going. That's it. That is how your purpose works. They're supposed to jump out at you. All of those negative things that's around you constantly, they're supposed to jump out at you, show themselves, reveal themselves, so you see it ahead of time. So all right, if this type of negative comes up again, I know how to handle that. I've seen it. It popped up before a little ways back. Now you understand how to maneuvering and so forth. If it's people, right, they're gonna show themselves. They can't help it. And let me tell you the beautiful thing about haters, man. And I know I spoke on this on my Instagram live, but I don't remember if I potted about it. But when you have people, people like this, everybody hating on me, blah, blah, blah. Listen, you got to be doing something to get hated on, man. If you ain't doing anything, you don't have haters, right? You're just part of the negative squad, right? You got to be doing something to get haters, and embrace the haters. Listen to what the haters are saying, because usually the haters are telling you what good you're doing or how great you are. You get me? Usually when the haters be like, oh, and they try to discourage you from something, that exact thing that they're trying to discourage you from is usually the greatest part of what you're doing. So you either need to keep doing more of that, or, maneuver around it, but you need to get back to that. But stay fast to your purpose, man. Trust me. I've seen it, man. I've seen it all. Now, my situation recently, I'm not going to lie, shocked me. Didn't see that one coming. I've seen other little things here and there, that have been, okay, all right. But I accept that because I know who, where, and why. See, when you know the who, where, and why, nothing's really shocking. And again, like I've said before, and people always disagree when I say it, or they're like, oh, you can't live like that. I don't trust anybody 100% at all. No, not a human, not an animal, not nothing. I don't trust nobody 100% because I believe everybody to be human. If I trust you 100%, then that would mean that you were perfect, and there's nobody perfect. At some point in time, you are going to you're going to fail me, or you're going to disappoint me. Either way, same thing, kind of, but either way, it's going to happen. So with me, with that thinking process, it actually helps you, because then I'm not shocked like somebody who's expecting for, a person to be great to them all the time. It's impossible. Something's got to happen that you're not going to agree with or whatever. And you never know like where the situation would take you. So I stay with a little percentage to myself. So I'm like, which is like a cushion and gives you a little bit of leeway, because then if you're doing it on purpose just because you know that I'm giving you leeway, that's going to get you fresh out of Dodge really quick. I'm going to separate myself so fast from you, before you can blink, I'm gone, right? So if that's the motive, if that's the route you're trying to go, it won't help you much, right? But I say this, this one here, like I say, it messed with me a little bit, right? But it don't stop me at all. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep doing what I do. And that's what I've been doing. I've done that all my life. I had a period of time, and I want to say within recent years, where I slowed up. I slowed up the way I would usually move and put myself in a place where internally I was unhappy. You know what I mean? Like, some people would say depressed or whatever. I'm no psychologist, so I wouldn't know I don't want somebody who is legally depressed. I don't want to offend them by saying I was depressed. I've never legitimately got those words said to me. So I don't know. And I don't want to, diminish its meaning by just using words. I'm like, I'm, no scholar, but I do believe words are powerful and you should use them properly, right? So I don't want to say that I was depressed, but I will say that I did internally, I was not as happy with myself as I was in prior years when I was doing me to the fullest, right? When I was doing me to the fullest, it wasn't really about the accolades. Like, it wasn't the financial gain that made it feel good. Because to me, and I've said this, and I tell people, and you've heard this, your name is everything. Your name is everything. In whatever business you do, you keep good business and keep your name clean, you'll always get to the bag one way or the other. People will always want to break that bag with you. Always. It'll never, like, that's a for sure. These doors will close, but doors will open once your name is good. So if you keep your name clean, and I was in a position where at one point in time, my name was like really good. Not that it's spoiled now, but because I took a hiatus, people had to question like what my ethic was or what I was doing. Nobody really knew what I was doing. So, and when the prior work I'm talking about is when I was dealing with music more heavily. I was doing a lot of stuff. I know I spoke on it before, produced a lot of records. I mixed more records than I produced. That's a fact. I'm not even really a production fan like that. For me, I like, linking up with producer and artist, bring the stuff to me, let me mix it, and then send it off, get it mastered. And I like that part of the game. That's just me. It wasn't laziness, but it's just, and it's in the music industry, there's so many ways to make bread. But I digress back to the point. When me straying away from my path and slowing down, not even just my path, but just stopping what I was doing for whatever purpose, for whatever amount of time, put me in a position where internally, like I said, I wasn't feeling the greatest. You know, I was, I felt like something was missing on the inside. And, kind of getting back to it with the potting and this stuff. And let me tell you something. Let me jump off subject real quick. Those of you who want to get into potting, a podcast, right? Let me explain something to you. It's not easy at all to be able to come up with content constantly, whether it's every week, twice a month, however you're dropping or whatever, just to be able to come up with content. If you're not doing current events, if you're not that kind of pod, it's very difficult, especially for somebody like myself who's a one-man gang. And, I'm not doing a bunch of interviews. I'm not, I don't have, co-host or whatever, that was another story too, because there should have been a co-host, but that pod would be completely different. If anything ever changes, I'll be doing both. I'll be doing this one and the original pod should have been doing to start. Won't even say the name, but the page is there. Everything is ready. It's just good to go once that person is available. So that's that. But podding is not easy, and this is no tutorial on how to pod or whatever. But if you have life going on besides podding, it is very difficult. You don't have a crew, like, I'll tell you right now, there is nobody behind the screen. There's nobody to the side. I don't think everything is done by me right here, right now. And you could say, yeah, well, there's a bunch of people that do it, but a lot of those people who are doing a one-man gang show, like how I'm doing here, the majority of them are usually backed up by current events. Now, I will get into current events. That's a fact. I mean, you can't get around that. People are interested. There's a lot of things going on that people are interested in knowing and talking about, and then I will get into it. That is as a matter of fact, on this pod, on this thing, I'm going to get into some things going on currently. But back to staying focused. You can do a ton of things to try and get, weed out the negative people and the negative things around you. There's a ton of things you could do and try to do, but that takes too much of your energy and time is of the essence, like they say. Truly. So you have to take it serious, and you have to take your purpose serious. If you say this is your path, then let it be your path. Move forward. Everything, I promise you, everything will get out. Your people will expose themselves, and you may be shocked. But don't stand there and try to figure it out. Don't stand there and try to work it out. See it, embrace it, understand it, keep pushing. Sorry, not sorry. Keep walking. That's all you got to tell them, right? Let them stew and bask in their negative pool that they want to be in, and that's fine. You can't save them. You can't do nothing for them other than wish them goodwill and be about your business. Promise you. So, current events? No, not yet. I want to stay on this negative and positive road that I'm on. Because I feel good. Because I was so hurt. Let me tell you how crazy. And listen, shout out to mothers, man. You guys and girls out there, and your mom is around, man. Respect to all the real mothers out there, man. Mothers just have a crazy attachment to their children sometimes, and it's my mother still to this day. Every once in a while, she'll just shock me with either something she'll say or something she'll do, and you'll be like, damn, she's super in tune, man. Like genes and aura and whatever you want to call it, it's just so in tune. So the other day, feeling some kind of way, I told you I was crossed or disappointed or whatever the verbiage is. And I was feeling some kind of way on the inside. I was really down because, like I said, I was truly hurt. And my mother, out of nowhere, called me like later in the night than usual. My mother usually, if I speak to my mother, it's during the day or whatever. And this is just me being honest. I'm just saying, probably too much information, but hear me out. Usually speak to my mother during the day or something like that. I'm still at work or on my way to work or right, whatever it is. And she called me out the blue, like later on in the night that she never usually would call. The first words, she was like, hey, you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay. Then, she said some other words, and it was like she was trying to get the energy, like figure out, I don't know, she sent something, and she was like, yo, which of my children is it coming from? I know it got to be coming from this one, so let me reach out to this one. And she felt it out. And, I played it off, and what I thought was a pretty good job of being like, yeah, everything's okay, Mom. Don't worry about it, man. Got off the phone with her. And, it kind of played in my mind. Like, man, it was crazy. My mother called and asked me if I was all right. Man. So then a day or two later, I call her back and I'm like, yo, when you called the other day, man, it was kind of crazy because I was actually, man, she goes, oh, I know. My mother knows. All right. And I tell her what happened. And she gave me some real inspiring words. The crazy thing is, now I know a lot of people are not into zodiacs or whatever, and I'm not fully into it, but there are characteristics of zodiacs that do mesh and make sense, right? I don't think it's life-changing thing. Like, if you're a Capricorn, you'll never be there. I don't think it's that or whatever, but me and my mother are the same sign. Right. So when she says certain things or I say certain things, we have a certain understanding of what we're saying. And she said some real poignant things to me, which is not much different from what I'm saying to y'all now about people being negative, me being the person I am. People are going to try me. I've been dealing with it all my life. It's always been this way. You know what I mean? And when it goes south, it usually goes south. You don't want to hear something crazy, man. Not even crazy. And I know I've mentioned this before in other pods, man. But my best friend is a female. And I know everybody will be like, there's certain people, oh, no. There's a reason. And I have no attachment, nothing like that. But it's my best friend for damn near 30 years, right? She has, and a lot of times this is why I get along with a lot of women. I was raised by women. Let's just put that out first. I was raised by women. Coming up, it was my mother. I had my mother, my aunt, my grandmother. You know what I mean? Like my godmother on both sides. You know what I mean? Two godmothers. You know, my babysitter at the time, beautiful lady, Effie Jones. You know what I mean? Beautiful lady in Brooklyn, New York. She did a lot of things for the city. She got a lot of accolades back heavy in the church. She's one of them that, you know, me as a child coming up in my formative years would take me to church. So I learned a lot of stuff, and, you know, whatever my decisions as a man later on, that was my decisions. But it doesn't take away from the blessings that she allotted me by, you know, taking me to church and letting me see certain things and getting me involved with certain programs in the church and going to her house. And, you know, we ended up being like, you know, like extended family. Beautiful thing, right? But here's the thing, man. When you find, see, here's the thing. I'm just trying to verbalize this, right? Because I don't want nobody to mix my words and make it. There are things, there's a vibe, right, between a female and a man, right? That sometimes it's just not, if you're man enough to understand what it is, right? And me coming up with women, I understand. If you're man enough to understand what it is, if you just listen to women when they speak, you get all the answers you need. Now, how men and women go about their thinking, that's something completely different. That's a whole nother topic that kind of boils down to, like, sometimes why relationships don't mesh or whatever. But friendly, platonic, if you just listen to each other, you listen to a woman when she's saying things, you'll find so many jewels in her words that sometimes it could almost be empowering, right? And here's what I mean. Like, you have guys, you know, oh, you know, macho or whatever, no woman can't tell me. Let me tell you, you come from a woman, right? You come from a woman. A woman helped raise you, right? So all you macho guys that you come from being raised with your mother. The women run the house. The men enforce the women's rules, right? Make sense? Say it again just in case you don't understand. The women in the house, if you have a mother and father, male and female in the house, the women run the house. The father enforces the rules. So the women make the rules. So that being said, now you say, well, what about the single woman? They do it, they get it done. Now, she might not be able, you being a man, she might not be able to teach you how to be a man, but she'll give you as much attributes to become that man as she physically can. Because she can't teach you how to be a man, but she can at least allow you, hey, listen, women look for a certain thing. And I had a blessing of having great women around me. So that led to me having a different understanding of women and just understanding, like, yo, you can learn a lot from women just by listening. And sometimes, not even sometimes, but a lot of times that a woman is talking to you doesn't mean she's flirting with you. Doesn't mean she wants something from you. Sometimes she's just talking to talk. That's it. Sometimes she's trying to get a male perspective, but she mentally doesn't realize that that's what she's doing. She's just putting the words out she wants to get the feedback, but she has an idea of what your feedback is. And if you give her something different, she'll take it in. She might battle you, but really and truly, she's appreciative because she understands your heart. Like, so my best friend understands my heart, understands where I come from. She knows where all the bodies are. All right, probably the only person on the planet that knows the majority of me, because they see me go through all my different stages. Right? But they can tell you I've always been one way, my way. Right? People like it, some people don't, whatever. I try to laugh a lot now because the other side is so different that I try to laugh as much. I've always been a jokester, but I try to laugh as much as possible now. You know what I mean? Just so that, don't fall into an issue where that other side is coming out. You know what I mean? Hold on. By the way, let me know in the comments what you think about my new lighting. I finally think I got the lighting that I like. I like the lighting like this. I think it looks pretty good. It looks pretty cool. Shout out to my youngest son. He helped me work this out and get it together and get the camera angles right or whatever. I mean, it's a work in progress. But stay on point, Rats. She has a good understanding of who I am and me being the same. And I know she was sitting next to me right now. She would attest to, I just always been one way, right? Like once I get an idea or I get a notion, like I'm motivated towards something, I'm going to get it. I'm just that guy. I'm going to get there, right? Now, what happens between A and C, whatever happens in that area of B, I don't really pay too much attention to because I expect certain things to come up. I expect all the negativity to jump up. I expect the people, there's going to be a bunch of naysayers. That's going to jump up. Case in point, when I used to DJ before I got into engineering. Oh, DJing, you what are you just gonna do and play parties and blah, 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 right? And then, I could have almost let it get discouraged, but I stood fast to it and then end up making pretty good bread at it. Left that, moved on to other things, then found engineering via a great friend of mine or whatever. He put me on. We've heard that story before. Went on to do that and was really successful. Not to the level of, the big boys, which could have very well been a possibility. But enough to say that if I called in a favor, I probably 98% chance I will not get a no, because I never really answer anything. I go in and work. And like I said, you keep your name good, and especially in those of you in any industry, music, potting, whatever you want to do, you keep your name good. Everything would always be good. So within the music biz, kept my nose clean, kept my name clean, did good work. And there was a lot of negative, man, you can't do that, man. I don't know why you messing with that. And you messing with this person, whatever. And, there was a lot of artists that I messed with. And people was like, oh, no. But I heard or seen something, so I will work with them. There's artists that will probably see this eventually and, probably be in the comment. I hope they do. I hope they see it and jump in the comment and attest. Like, I put if I saw something in you, I'm going to work with you. That's a fact. I'll work with you for as long as it takes until I get what I perceive to be the greatest part of you. And I think that's why a lot of artists and a lot of people like me and like working with me, because people were like, oh, you're so patient. It wasn't really that I was patient. Well, I am patient. I think I'm pretty patient, but I think it's the fact of I'm excited to see the best you, right? Which is why I think people get the notion like, oh, he's great, or and I'm not boasting. I mean, this is actual, like, what I've heard people say to my face. Oh, you're the greatest engineer, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't, there's a lot of great engineers, amazing engineers, 1,000 times better than me. That's for sure. I think when it comes down to this, it's very few that really, really, really care about the product. A lot of them care more about, the sound and how that mixes or production is attached to them. But I really cared about the overall thing, like you, the artist. This is because you could have $1 million beat and you're not $1 million artist. That's not $1 million song, right? But you got $1 million beat and you are 999,999,000, right? It's more chance that this is going to be $1 million song. So the closer you get to make that stuff mesh, the closer you are to greatness. So I just always want to see people be the best them. Now, how does that tie into what I'm talking about? Because of that, right? In doing so, I don't allow negativity in studio sessions or anything like, oh nah, Reds, I can't do it. No, I don't deal with can'ts. Can'ts to get you to put a 50-cent piece in that curse box over there, right? We don't use it. We don't use can'ts or maybes, right? It's either yes or no. Get it done. Here's a fun fact. The word maybe in most languages outside of English did not exist in its original form, right? What I mean is the word maybe, after years of people speaking English and, different cultures meshing, right? The word maybe is a young word compared to, the rest of other languages, and really have a word for maybe. If you even listen to a lot of people who speak other languages outside of English and you hear them use the word maybe, they say maybe in English because their language doesn't necessarily have a word for maybe, because their language is as the way they live. It's either yes or no. You are or you're not. You're going to do or you don't. So with that mentality and me knowing that information, that's exactly how I attack music. That's exactly how I attack artists. And that's how exactly I attack people. Either here with me or you're not. If you're not, whatever your excuse is, that excuse is for you, is not for me. Because I don't care either way. I'm walking this way. So if you want to stop me, then try and explain. I don't care. What you can do is walk and talk. Right? If I get to a door before you finish your conversation, do believe I'm going through the door. I'm not stopping to listen to the rest of your negative conversation on why you can and why you're not 100. Not my issue. I don't care. I'm going to keep pushing. That's just how I am. So like it or love it, that is. And I think that's why a lot of people would use the term like, oh yeah, red is solid or whatever. You know what I mean? And I try my darndest to keep my word. When I don't, I really, it fucks with me when I can't keep my word to certain things and certain people. So that's why I try not to make too many promises that I know I can't keep. I try not to use too many maybes, because that's me starting off with an excuse. I'm even trying to get away from different variations of maybe, right? So like we have maybe, or I'll try to, or I'll see, you know what I mean? All those variations. And none of those variations are in the same languages that are missing the word maybe. They're also, those variations are also missing in the languages, right? Meaning like, so they don't have, because they don't have the word for maybe, they don't have the variations either. Now, some of you who speak other languages be like, oh yes, we do, and but if you're listening to this, you're probably within my age range, maybe a tad bit older thing. So let's just say if you're anywhere from 25 to 50, you may know this. No lies. You're 35 to 50, you may know this information. Anything younger than that, you're probably not going to know. And you would have to ask your grandparents, hopefully your great grandparents or whatever, but you would have to ask an older generation or older people who are well older than you in age, like, 70s or so, and ask them about because all languages have went through a period of a different variation over the years. I learned that like years ago with Spanish. It was a girl I know, and every time she spoke Spanish, the people she was speaking to would be always be taken back, especially when she was speaking to older or elderly folk. And when she speaks, they'd be taken back, and they would say things like, oh, you speak proper Spanish. And I used to throw me off, like, what the hell? And then had to realize, well, she's Puerto Rican, and I knew about Spanglish. Well, coming from Brooklyn or whatever, you hear that all day. But the older people didn't speak Spanglish. They spoke a different Spanish before Spanglish, right? Because Spanglish is just, them speaking Spanish along with English. So we get that part. But there is like another variation of Spanish that they speak that the elderly know, or the older ones know, that that's not to the original language. Like there's certain words that don't mean that, right? So anyway, I done went so far off the deep end, right? But going back to what I was talking about, man, I lost my train of thought. You got to stay focused, right? Stay focused. Stay on your purpose, right? Like I feel so much lighter now that I took grasp of what happened or whatever. To be honest, I did a pod the other day, kind of on this subject, and then when I watched it back, it was like, no, it's too personal. It's borderline petty. You could see the anger in my face. So I was saying I was over it, but I wasn't really over it. So I'm always keep that one just for myself. Maybe, because I'm going to start a Patreon, and maybe stuff like that, will go on the Patreon, and you know, plus with Patreon, you know, you have the ability to talk a little bit more freely, you know, with here, you know, you got to be careful on certain things you say, you know, algorithms and all that other great stuff. So I don't really want to, you know, I don't want to always have to like censor myself. Sometimes I just want to free up and then just talk my talk and just get it up out. So, you know, and then sometimes I'll be driving, or, you know, I'm doing something and I might have a thought, and my thought might not fit the criteria for this platform. So, you know, and then by the time you edit it down to make it, you know, viable for this platform, it kind of loses its oomph, and it's not what I really wanted to portray. So yeah, I think I'm definitely going to start a Patreon, and, you know, I'm not trying to kill numbers or anything like that, but I know before, when I had my other vehicle, I had a whole Chronicle thing, and people used to like that. So maybe I do something like that over there, and more special stuff over there. But real quick, back to the potting thing. Yeah, it's not easy. What I will say though is, because I know I've been saying, you know, I'm going to drop every Monday, and audio would drop and then video would drop. I have to be honest with myself. I've tried it. I've gave it a good run. And like I said, I hate lying to myself, and I hate lying to people. Right. So what I'm going to do, and what I can and will, and I know you know, I can actually accomplish, is I'm gonna buckle down to twice a month. Right. So the beginning, and so it'll be every other week. So that'll be twice a month. That gives me a chance to load up, do what I got to do, still handle life. Right. I wish I was in a position where I could just do 100% pod all the time, but I'm not there yet. That takes time. Shout out to the people who do it. You know what I mean? Shout out to, you know, the Joe Buddens, and, you know, all these other guys that are out there. They're out there doing their thing, you know. But me personally, in the position I am right now, I can't lie. I can't do it. I can't drop every week. It's not that it's impossible, but, you know, there are days that, like, physically, I just can't. Like, my body won't let me. You know, I know, spring chicken, but just I'm tired, or something's going on that just prevents me from being able to drop. And then, you know, you can say, oh well, if you're you know, in a forward motion, whatever, nothing should stop you, nothing can get in your way. Yeah, that's fine to say, but it's not honest. It's not honest. Now, I can be positive, I can be focused, and also realistic. Realistically, my best bet is every other week, twice a month. That makes sense. That works, right? I'm sorry, I was looking for my chapstick. My lips are getting dry, but that works, right? And I know I said I was gonna get to some current events, but I'm not gonna do it on this one, man. We're almost at an hour already, and but I definitely had to get that off of my chest, man. And it feels good. Feels good to be back in a place. Not necessarily that to be hated on, but, you know what I mean? You expect that, but it just feels good to have it all not all figured out, but have that situation figured out. And I feel light now, man. You know what I'm saying? Spoke on it. It's done. Next week, put out something. Well, not next week, but the week after, put out something else and take it from there. But I will still stick to Mondays. You know what I mean? I still will drop Mondays. I know a lot of people drop their things every Monday. They was like, oh, you should try and find a different time. But I like Mondays, at least for now. You know what I mean? I'll let you people decide if I need to change the day or whatever. But me personally, I like Mondays. So with that being said, man, listen, stay blessed, stay focused, drink water. Peace.